Excel Tutorial 11, pages 689 through 698. Importing data from multiple tables into a pivot table. On page 689, to import the company and recent performance tables, go to the 5-day report worksheet. On the ribbon, click the Data tab. In the Get External Data group, Get External Data, click the From Access button. From Access. Now you have to go to your folder where your Chapter 11 work is saved. When you navigate to that folder, you won't see anything but one file, and that's because we told it to look for an Access database, and there's only one Access database, so therefore you're not going to see all those Excel files. You're only going to see this Access database. All right, when you've got that selected, you single click it and click on Open. All right. Take a look at step number 3 and read that little paragraph. Depending on your system, this could happen. Okay, just go ahead and read through that. It didn't happen for me. If it did for you, it tells you what to do. Then we can move on to step number 4. Step number 5. Click the Enable Selection of Multiple Tables. Okay, Enable Selection of Multiple Tables. So you can select more than one table from the database. Step number 6. Click the Company and Recent Performance checkboxes to select the two tables, Company and Recent Performance. Okay, see Figure 11-30 on page 690. All right, we have both of those selected, Company, Recent Performance. We click OK. All right, to import the Chalcedony database data into a pivot table report, step number 1. In the Import Data dialog box, and that's where we are right there, verify that the Pivot Tables Report option button is selected. There's Pivot Table Report. That radio button is selected. Click the Existing Worksheet box, and then click D4. Okay, Existing Worksheet box, we're going to click in here. And then we're going to click on D4. Okay. Step number 3. Click the Properties button. The Connection Properties dialog box opens. Step 4. In the Connection Name box, Connection Name, type 5-day performance data. In the description box, type data from the company and recent performance tables in the Chalcedony database. Okay, once you have that all typed in, go ahead and check for any misspellings and correct them. Step 6, click the Refresh Data when opening the files checkbox. Okay, refresh data when opening the file. Pretend like you don't hear my dog barking. Step number 7, click the OK button. The Import Data dialog box appears. Then click the OK button again, and the data will be imported. Okay, at the top of page 691, to set up and format the pivot table and slicer. Okay, this is a review. We've definitely done this before, so it shouldn't be too hard. Step number 1. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, scroll down to the list of fields in the Recent Performance table. Okay, so Pivot Table Fields pane, Recent Performance, scroll down so we can see them all. Drag the date field to the row area. Okay, date down to the row area. See where it says row area? Okay, the list of the 5 dates is displayed in the range E5 to E9 in the worksheet. Okay? The column labels include some of before the names of the volumes. Okay, wait, I skipped one, didn't I? I always skip a step. I'm always trying to get finished. See, I need to slow down, just like I tell you guys to. All right, step number 3. From the list of fields in the Recent Performance table, drag the volume field to the values area. Okay, so volume goes to the values area. Right there. and then drag the closing field to the values area. So closing down to the values area, so they're both down here. And now the column labels include sum of before the names of the volume and closing fields. This label is misleading because only one value will appear for these items for each stock on each day. So the pivot table shows a sum of only one record. You'll revise the column labels to better reflect their content. All right, in the range D4 to F4. Okay, so D4 to F4, right there. Enter the following labels. All right. So this one's going to be what? Date. That seems pretty simple. After date, we want shares traded. And then instead of sum of closing, we want closing value. Okay, step 5. In the range E5 to E9, there's E5 to E9. Format the volume values using the comma style with no decimal places. All of this is just so familiar to you at this point, just a review. Step 6, in the range F5 to F9, format the closing values with the number format with 2 decimal places. All right, I'm just going to right click it, and we are going to go to Format Cells, make it number, and it has 2 decimal places, so we're doing fine. Step 7, on the Pivot Tables Tools Design tab, in the Layout group, okay, click the Grand Totals button. Okay, I have this selected, which I don't like, so I'm just going to click back in here. I should be able to be any place without any problem, but still makes me nervous. I don't like to have a whole row selected. That's just me. Grand Totals button, then click Off for Rows and Columns. Okay. The grand totals removed from the pivot table because Raphael doesn't need to see grand totals for the 5-day history. Next, you'll add a slicer containing the title field from the company table. 8. On the ribbon, click the Pivot Table Tools Analyze tab. In the Filter group, there, click Insert a Slicer. From the list of fields in the company table, select Title and then click OK. Move and resize the title slicer so that it covers A4 to C20. A4 to C20. Okay. In the title slicer, click Aluminum Company of America. The 5 most recent shares traded and closing values for that stock are displayed in the pivot table. See figure 11-31. Okay, you can take a quick look. Okay, I'm just making sure mine matches well. So look at page 692 and make sure that everything that you have right here matches what they have in figure 11-31. Okay, read about exploring the data model and power pivots. Okay, because we're about to do something we've never done before. All right, read about installing the Power Pivot add-in on page 693. I always tell you to read all this, and particularly in here, there's a note that warns you that that add-in is not available for tablet devices. Okay, so make sure you know that. All right, to install the Power Pivot add-in, first of all, it tells you to look at your tabs on your ribbon and make sure it's not there. If you're working at the school, I guarantee you it's not there. If you're working at home, I can almost guarantee you it's not there. Okay, so let's just go with it doesn't appear on the ribbon. Step number 2, on the ribbon, click File and then Options. File and then Options. Okay, in the Excel Options categories, click Add-ins. There we go. Click the Manage Box arrow right here, and then click COM Add-ins, and then click Go. In the list of available add-ins, click the Microsoft Office Power Pivot for Excel 2013 checkbox. Microsoft Office Power Pivot for Excel 2013. Turn it on. Now click OK, and you can see the tab shows up on your ribbon. All right, let's go use it. Bottom of page 693. To add an Excel table to the data model, go to the Portfolio worksheet. Then select cell A4. I'm there already, just in case you're not, go ahead and click on it. On the ribbon, click the Power Pivot tab. The Power Pivot commands are displayed on the ribbon. Turn the page. Step number 3. In the Tables group, click the Add to Data Model button. Okay, so we have a Tables group, and we have Add to Data Model button. Okay, the portfolio table is added to the data model. See figure 11-32. Okay, there it is. All right, pull this up a little bit. There we go. On page 694. To view the data model in the Data View and Diagram View, in the Power Pivot for Excel window, and that's little baby right here, you can tell there's the title bar, click the Company tab. Okay, so we click the Company tab right here. The contents of the company table are displayed. Step number 2. Click the Recent Performance tab to view the contents of that table. Recent Performance. And then click the Portfolio Table tab to return to the Portfolio table. 4. On the Home tab, in the View group, right here, because we're already on the Home tab, and here's our View group, click the Diagram View button. Okay? The tables and relationships within the data model are displayed graphically in the Power Pivot window. An arrow connects the company and the recent performance tables, indicating that those two tables are related by a common field. Okay, and you can see it, right? See where the little arrow goes like that? Click the arrow connecting the company table and the recent performance table. The ticker symbol field is highlighted, indicating that this is the common field joining the two tables. See it? Okay, take a look at figure 11-33 and make sure that your screen looks just like theirs. Once you've done that, on the bottom of page 695, I want you to read Managing Relationships in the Data Model. Then turn to page 696 to create a relationship between two tables. On the ribbon, and remember we're working in this ribbon, not that ribbon up there, we're working in this ribbon. Click the Design tab. In the Relationship group, it's right there, click the Create Relationship button. The Create Relationship dialog box opens. Click the Table arrow. Okay, it says Table right here, and there's the down pointing arrow. And then click Portfolio Table. This identifies one of the tables you want to use to create a relationship. Step number 3. Click the column arrow, and then click ticker symbol. This identifies the field you want to use to create the relationship. Step number 4. Click the Related Lookup Table arrow. Okay, Created Lookup Table. Hit that arrow, and then click Company. This identifies the other table you want to use to create a relationship. Ticker symbol is selected in the Related Lookup column box, identifying the corresponding field in the company table. See figure 11-34. So stop right now, look at your Create Relationship dialog box, and ensure that it matches figure 11-34 on page 696. All right, step number 5. Once you're sure this is all correct by checking against the book, you go ahead and click the Create button. An arrow appears linking the portfolio table to the company table. You don't need to create a relationship between the portfolio and the recent performance tables because they are related via the company table. On the ribbon, click File and then Close. Okay, and that it doesn't say the word file, it just looks like that. And then you go to Close. Okay. The Power Pivot window closes and you return to the Excel workbook. To add the year high and year low fields to the pivot table, go to the 5-day report worksheet. Click cell D4. Click All from the Pivot Table Fields menu to display all of the tables accessible to this pivot table. Verify that the portfolio table is listed between the company and the recent performance tables. Okay, clicked All. It shows me what tables are available. All right, step number 3. In the Pivot Table Fields pane, click the Portfolio table. The list of fields in that table is displayed. Right-click the year high field and then click Add to Value. Okay. The year high field is added to the pivot tables, and you can see where it went down in the lower portion, right? Okay. So remember, it's kicking in this word sum, so when you see it down here, it says sum of year high. That's where it went, right down here to values. We just right-clicked it and sent it there instead of grabbing it and dragging it down. That's all we did. Right-click the year low field and then click Add to Value. Okay, year low, right-click, Add to Values. Boom, there it goes. The year low field is added to the pivot table. A message bar appears indicating that relationships, see right up here, that relationships exist. Okay, you can ignore this warning because you have already defined the table relationship. 6. In the range G5 to H9, format the values with the number format. All right, G5 to H9. In cell G4, change the column label to previous high. And then in cell H4, we want previous low. Okay, got it? All right, to add and format a pivot chart based on the pivot table, on the ribbon, click the Pivot Table Tools Analyze tab. In the Tools group, click the Pivot Chart button. Select Combo from the list of chart groups. This last one. Select Line for the closing value, previous high, and previous low data series. Okay, so here's our data series, right? And so we want line for closing values. So here's closing values. And we want line. So we want line for closing values. We also want line for previous high. And that one's line. And then previous low is line. Then click the secondary axis button for each of the series. So I have to go back and see what my series was. Closing value, yes. Previous high, previous low. Okay, got that? Closing value, previous high, previous low, line, line, line. Secondary axes is selected. Go ahead and click OK. Move and resize the pivot chart so that it covers the range D10 to H20. So there is D10. There is H20. Okay, flip over to page 698. On the ribbon, click the Pivot Chart Tools Analyze tab. In the Show Hide group, click the Field Buttons button. Just hit it up here. Okay. I guess I can stop clicking on it because I keep clicking on it. The field button is no longer displayed in the pivot chart. Okay, there it is. It's on. Click it. Turn it off. I was too busy popping and clicking, not paying attention. Position the chart legend at the top of the pivot chart. Okay, so we have our chart legend over here. We want it at the top. Okay, that did not work well, and I don't like it anyway. I think they just meant at the top is in right there, not literally at the very top in the middle. We'll just move it up and call it good. In the title slicer, click each company name and display information about that company in the pivot table and pivot chart, and then click the Union Pacific Corporation to see the pivot table and pivot chart for the recent performance. Okay, in the title slicer over here, basically it says click each one and then watch it change and see what happens. Okay, and after you finish clicking them all and checking it out, we're going to end up on the Union Pacific Corporation. Okay, save this, and that's the end of this video.